Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, my YouTube family, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing. And on this episode of Thrive, we are going to be, by the way, Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year, happy 2023. I wish you all a wonderful 2023. I hope it is a year filled with fulfilling things, a lot of growth, a lot of development and happiness. I really wish us all happiness this year. So on that note of the new year, as you can see with the title, I am going to be speaking about 7 traps that we fall into when we're in this season. 7 traps of New Year's resolutions. And really these are also traps that a lot of us fall into when it comes to just goals in general. And these are certainly traps that I've fallen into a multitude of times. Like I don't even believe in New Year's resolutions anymore, or at least let me not say believe in. I don't do New Year's resolutions anymore, and my reason is, for me, it's like I start doing new things. I go into phases. I go into phases, and at the beginning of a phase, that's when I will do, my goal setting, and I'll strive to achieve certain things within a certain time. So it's like phases for me will begin whenever they begin. I don't wait for the new year. I don't wait for December 31st coming into first to be like, hey, New Year's resolutions, new year, new me. Nah, I don't do that. I self-develop throughout the year, and I go through these stages where I'll go hard for a period, and then I'm looking into, because I recently came across a book called The 12-Week Year or something like that. It seems like a great book. Seems like something that will be more up my lane than New Year's resolutions and stuff. But anyway, that's not where we are. Like I said, we're gonna talk about 7 traps of New Year's resolutions. And as I said, these are traps that I've fallen into in my own ways, and I am hoping from this that you will be able to, know how to avoid them. So let's get straight into it with trap number 1. Number 1 is, often our New Year's resolutions are unrealistic, right? And an example of this is, for example, a few years back, I remember I had the goal to have 6% body fat. And that was such an unrealistic goal for me. And the reason is, the amount of the requirements to get to that, what it would take for me to get to that is stuff that I just genuinely wasn't willing to do. What it would take for me to be a 6% body fat person is just things that were not true to who I was, not true to my reality as a person who was going through what I was going through at the time. And also, it really wasn't true to me. It wasn't true to what I want for my life. It was more along the lines of, the pressure of, I was into calisthenics. I still am, but I was into calisthenics heavily. So in that world, this is where I started hearing about this 6% body fat thing, and it was like, this incredible goal that everybody seems to be striving for. And I was like, yeah, I want to go for it. But it wasn't true to me. The lifestyle that it would take for me to get there isn't something that would have resonated with me at the time. Maybe it will in future, but it just wasn't me. So that's the first trap, is we set these unrealistic goals that are maybe too audacious, too big, or maybe they're not true to ourselves, and they set us up for failure. Not only that, they set us up for disappointment in ourselves. And you find that we'll set these goals and we'll start to pursue them, and very quickly we'll realize that, hey, this perhaps is not a goal that is for me, for whether it's because it's not true to you, or because it's just way too big. And especially in this world where this motivational space where we're often encouraged, you can achieve anything you want, you can be whatever you want. And it's like, yeah, you can, but there's context to it. Everything is contextual. And so you need to, when you're setting goals, we need to be in a space where we are fully authentic to ourselves in our setting goals, and we're also realistic in what we can do, so that we can actually do what we're able to do. Because you're the one who's going to have to try to achieve this goal, and if you can't do it, you can't do it. You know, no amount of "you can do it" can get you to do something you really can't do. So perhaps certain things will have to change in order for you to become the type of person who can. But as for right now, you're not, and that's the reality, and it's okay. Okay, so just don't set these huge, audacious goals that you might not even achieve, because once you get disappointed, you're gonna get dejected, you're gonna look down on yourself, and it's just not healthy. However, when you set a goal that you can achieve, a goal that you can reach, that is going to set you up so nicely, because once you reach it, you're going to feel great, you're going to feel amazing. Not only that, you can get this dopamine rush, it's going to be great for you, right? And then on top of that, you now have another goal to strive for, right? Because remember, we're trying to go for progress, not perfection. So that's number one, is setting unrealistic goals. Number two, we often set goals that are just too broad. And on this one, an example I will give is last year, I remember I was like, nah, I want to learn to play piano. Cool. That was my goal, to learn to play piano. Guess what happened? I learned to play piano. I learned to play piano in the key of C. And that was it. And that's the thing with goals that are too broad, is there's nothing measurable for you to strive for. There's nothing to go after. There's nothing to chase after. There's nothing to pursue. And so if your goal is just too broad, like I want to play piano, I want to be healthy, I want to make money, I want to save money, those are just too broad, right? A better goal health-wise would be, I want to work out 3 to 4 times a week for 30 minutes. What's the goal? Like the broad general goal is you want to be healthier, right? A healthier goal with the piano thing, for example, that I now have is like, okay, I want to learn to play the piano on all the major scales, you know? That's something I can start working towards. And so with setting broad goals, is you want your goals to be as specific as can be. And that's going to allow you to have something to be striving towards. You know, like with every week I want to work 3 to 4 times. You're not only going to have something to strive for every week or consistently, you're also going to know whether or not you're making progress in this thing. And so that's number 2, is having goals that aren't just way too broad, because if they're broad, you'll aim anywhere, and then whatever you hit is it, you've hit it, cool, yay. But then you're not even gonna feel any sense of achievement at the end of it, and you're just gonna you'll have reached your goal, but it's not even something worth it to you, So that's number 2, is it being too broad, but also it doesn't allow you to be focused. That's another thing about like broad goals. So yeah, set goals that are specific and more measurable, things that you can keep track of over time. That's number 2. Number 3, we set goals that do not account for our circumstances. When I started last year, I remember so the thing is, last year I still had a lot of self-discovery that I had to go through, a lot of self-knowledge, a lot of growth. I still do to an extent, but not as much. But procrastination was a huge challenge for me, right? Cool. I remember I set goals, cool, but I didn't take into account that, life is life and life will life. And I had all these goals that I wanted to go after, but the thing is, they didn't take into account my current circumstances, in the sense that I was where I was mentally, and mentally I was not in a space where I'd be able to even think of pursuing all those goals. Not only that, on top of them being broad and whatever, unrealistic and whatever, it's just I was not even in the space. Like at the current time, my circumstances would not allow for me to pursue all those goals. Not only that, I found that like life began to life. So for example, with the piano thing, for example, there's a time where, and I'm going to speak about this on like guilt and stuff, but there's a time where like for 2 weeks, I remember I had school, and then on top of school, personally, things were going on. I was still going to therapy, so like therapy was draining me in so many different ways, and all of these things happened, and so a lot of my goals started to fall off. And that is like, I guess another trap is like we make them so rigid, and it's like, look, life will happen, life is going to life, and when life lives, you want to be able to adjust. It's okay to adjust. That's another thing that I really want us to understand is adjustments will probably need to be made. Sometimes the adjustment might even be like totally forsaking the goal, and sometimes might be starting over. It's okay. It's okay. Like, I'm not saying be flimsy about your goals necessarily, but know that if life has lifed, right? If life has lifed, and it's okay. Be flexible to adjust your goal as need be. You know where you are, you know what's going on in your life. And if you're in a position where you realize that, hey, this thing needs to be adjusted or needs to be put aside for a second or just totally let go of, it's okay. It's really okay. Remember, again, we're trying to make progress, we're trying to go for after progress here, not perfection. So it's really okay if certain adjustments need to be made because you're trying to get better and better and better. And so when life comes and does this, if you're rigid and you're not adaptable, you're not going to make progress. You're not going to move forward. That's where you're going to end up just totally not doing this thing, and then boom, you're sad again. You've had another year where you haven't gone after your goals, and then you get excited in December and you're like, yeah, you know what, next year. And then you make the same mistakes over and over. Number 4, the goals, the New Year's resolutions, they put pressure on us to do everything at once. Because especially with New Year's resolutions. But even when you get like, I remember, for example, when I went to this conference, and if you've ever attended these conferences where like they motivate you and they get you to start believing in yourself. I went to one of these and I was feeling great. I came back, I was like, yeah, that's the thing. Like same with New Year's resolutions. You feel great, you feel like you can conquer the world, you can do everything, and then you try to do everything at once. But the thing is, just as lives, just also, you are a human being, and the thing is, you have your reality before you started trying to pursue these goals, and your mind cannot possibly handle all the things that we're trying to do all at once. There's this principle of 7, the magic 7, I think 7 plus or minus 2, like working memory. A human being's working memory can only handle 7 plus or minus 2 items. In the same way, I think with life is the same. It's like we put a pressure on ourselves to do all these things at once, to go after all these goals at once, and it's like, the thing is, you still have, as the previous point I said, you still have life, okay? And so in life, you're a student, or you're a parent, or you work, or this or that. You've already got all these things that are already pretty much projects on their own. You try to add all of these things, you can only handle so much. And so if going after one goal at a time is what it will take for you to achieve it, do that. It's okay. The point is to bite-size these things, because when you try to do everything at once, life is gonna life, as I've been saying. And so because you're trying to do everything at once, you're putting pressure on yourself. And by putting so much pressure on yourself, you're setting yourself again up for failure. And so you find that you're trying to do all these things all at once, and instead of doing them bite-sized, by trying to do them all at once, you obviously are going to get to a point where somehow, some way, something's going to have to give, right? And that is again going to feed into the whole disappointment thing, or feeling like a failure, or this or that, and we don't want that. So bite-sized chunks, go for bite-size. If it means going after one goal at a time, go for one goal at a time. And even with that one goal, take it easy, ease yourself into it. Be okay with easing yourself into things. And also remember, I spoke about adjusting. Be okay with retracting, like pulling back a bit. Maybe you felt you could do 3 things at once, maybe not. Okay, let me try 2. Maybe you felt you can go at a certain level of intensity, and then you realize, I can't necessarily do 4 workouts a week. I can only afford 3. Cool. The point is progress, not perfection. So that's number 4. Number 5 is they can lead to guilt and self-blame. I spoke about this when I spoke about how I had that 2-week period where I was going for everything, striving after everything. I remember very vividly, this is early last year, and then life happened, right? And obviously when life happened, it means a lot of things had to stop. A lot of the things I was trying to do all at once had to stop. Cool. I felt so bad. I felt so guilty. And luckily I was still in therapy at the time. So I was able to, through therapy, my therapist and I, we were able to work through that. And for me to reframe my mind and understand that, no, you were trying something you didn't succeed, and it's okay, right? We get these feelings of guilt and we start feeling like crap and all that, and it's like, no, it's okay, all right? It's okay if adjustments need to happen. It's okay if you fumbled along the way. It's okay if you've fallen off, okay? The whole point is to get back up and get back into it. The whole point is to adjust where you need to adjust, if you need to adjust, and it's okay. So don't allow yourself to feel guilty. Again, understand, we're trying to go for progress here. We're trying to make progress. So that's number 5, is the trap where like, hey, we feel guilty. They make us, these goals of ours make us feel guilty. There's obviously particularly when we don't do what we said we're gonna do, what we set out to do. Especially like in going back to the motivational spaces, like you'll hear, like there's so much talk that makes it so that vele you'll feel guilty. Like there's so much talk about how like maybe you're not being like, how do I put this? Once you've said you're gonna do something, do it. And it's like, yeah, if you've said you're gonna do something, do it. But again, everything's contextual. If you can't do it any longer, it's okay to stop and reset and, try again. So yeah, that's number 5. Don't fall into the trap of guilt and self-blame. Yeah, that's another one. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. It could be life. It could be like really things you're going through. Sometimes really you feel tired. It's okay. You feel tired. It's okay. Like going back to the whole thing about like having broad goals. Yes, I said make your goals specific, but also at the same time, it's okay like to have a little bit of leeway in terms of like, for example, instead of saying, and I'm not saying like necessarily with this, like instead of saying I'll work out 4 times a week, right? Say I'll work out 3 to 4 times a week, right? And even if you don't hit 3 to 4, it's okay if you've hit 2. If you've had a week where you didn't work out, it's okay. It's really okay. Sorry. It's really okay, right? We're trying to make progress. Cool. Let me move on. Number 6. There's a big one. Are goals relying on external validation? Remember that 6% goal? That was such an external validation thing. Like, it felt so good. And this is the thing with external validation, right? First of all, it's really not sustainable to go after something because of external like motivation. You really want that intrinsic motivation. So let me talk about the 6% thing. It felt so good, part of it, obviously, and it still does, don't get me wrong. External validation feels so good, but what I'm saying is it's not a sustainable motivator for you to keep going with the goal that you're trying to achieve. So 6%, there I am. The moment I started hearing the compliments, started getting the compliments, you're looking good, man, you're looking taxed, I can see you work out, I was feeling good. So part of it was really very external, like a huge, actually I'd say 90%, maybe even 100% of it was very external. And so when I started getting the compliments, I've achieved the goal, Moose. I've achieved the goal because what? It was motivated by the external. And so once the external validation started coming, technically I've achieved the goal. Yes, it wasn't 6%, but because I was trying to go after 6% for extrinsic reasons, once the extrinsic reasons were met, I've actually met the goal, even though that wasn't the goal I was actually going for. I don't know if I'm making sense, but essentially what I'm saying is it wasn't sustainable. So it was either I wouldn't be able to even start, or I would start, and as it happened, I'd stop the moment the external validation is met, and that's the case with a lot of us with, going after the beach body. It's like, you are going after the beach body so that you can get the compliments, so that you can get the eyes and whatever. And it's like, yeah, they feel great, don't get me wrong, but it's really not sustainable. But not only that, you, by doing that, and this was very, very much true for me and my extrinsic goals. Once you do that, what you don't realize is you are already putting yourself in a position where you are pinning yourself down, like you're looking down on yourself because you want this body so that you can look good. Cool. And of course, wanting to look good is a great thing, but at the same time, you're not loving yourself. You're not looking at yourself and giving yourself love. And so you're putting yourself down consistently. That's already killing your motivation. However, if from a place of love, And this is where the intrinsic side of it comes. If from a place of love, you look at yourself and you really want to build a body that you would love to look at from a place of love, from a place of this is the one body I will ever have, and I really want it to look good, but I want it to feel good, right? I want to have a healthy body. That is a very different motivation and a very different thing to strive for. That's why you find that for a lot of people, or for some people, it's only when they are told, like somebody could have been trying to, for example, quit cigarettes for years, or could have been trying to work out for a long time. And then only when the doctor comes and says, no, if you don't stop doing this, or if you don't start doing this, you will die. Only then is it like, shit. Only when somebody's had a heart attack is it like, shit, I need to start taking care of my body, you know? What's happened, it's now become an intrinsic thing. And you find that for a lot of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, that is a motivator enough to actually strive, to actually pursue, and to actually be persistent in that pursuit. And it's like, even when they do fall off, they get right back onto it. So you want to get to a point where your motivation really is intrinsic. It really comes from within. And like right now, really, like I'm in a space where I am striving to work out, for example, consistently, because I really feel good after that. After my workouts, I really feel good. I feel good, and even emotionally, I'm seeing the benefits, you know, and I love feeling good. I've come to love what it feels like to feel good. As a person who's lived years with depression, a person who barely knew what happiness is, right now that I have happiness and I live a very happy and fulfilled life, I want to do anything and everything to continue to have that, you see? And so I found it even so much easier to get into living a healthy lifestyle. And it's not even just with like working out, it's just in general. I found it so much easier to live a healthy lifestyle because I've come to a point where I do it for me. I do it for me so that I continue to feel this amazing. I continue to feel this great, and actually to even feel greater, you know? And to even see the results of doing something so good for myself, and seeing results in areas that I wouldn't even expect, you know? I remember like this past 2 weeks when I've been off YouTube, some of it has just been really difficult, but some of it has been about a whole lot of introspection. But the way I carried myself in this past 2 weeks, I looked at myself, I was like, damn, I've come a long way. And I can attribute that in a huge part to a lot of the healthy habits that I've built over the past year. So yeah, that's number 6. And number 7, the last point, I have a bonus actually, but number 7 is our goals, our New Year's resolutions. They can be a source of stress. And this is for the reasons that I've stated above. I spoke about in my last video how I did finance. Doing finance was, that was not for me. That was extrinsically motivated. It was unrealistic. It was not where my mind is at. It's not for me. It's not real to me. It's not authentic to who I am. That life is not for me at all, you know? And so to consistently be trying to go after this goal of being this person in finance, going after it, striving after it, you know, puts so much stress on my life. And that again, it put, like, that frustration already put me in a position to lose out when it came to that. I'm just fortunate and grateful that I was able to be real with myself and be like, yo, this ain't for you. But that one specifically, like, my goodness. And the thing is, like, you want your goals, and I found this is so much better. You want your goals to be enjoyable. Not just enjoyable, you want them to be exciting. I think I said in my last video that you want to do something that you're willing to suffer for. Right? Like, that's me with film. Studying film, doing film, it's like, even where it gets really difficult, even where it gets so, like, even where there's so much pressure and I'm being driven crazy and I'm getting thoughts like, why the hell did I do this? It's also like, I know why I'm doing this. I know why I want to do this. Like, I look at my mom. My mom does she's still studying, like, even now, like right now. as I'm speaking, she is in the other room. She's studying. She just loves learning, and she's doing, I know she's doing like something difficult. I know the stats involved. I know this, but anyway, she just loves challenging her mind, and she enjoys it. Like when you can see that somebody's enjoying themselves, and it's like, what are you willing to suffer for? It's like she will say, yo, this thing is hard, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it. And you can see that she's excited about the fact that she's gonna get it. And it's that type of thing. It's like you want whatever goal you're going for to be something you enjoy, something you will be willing to suffer for. And don't get me wrong, not everything's gonna be that way. But really, these are the goals you set for yourself, you know? And so, yeah, that's the 7. But like I said, I have a bonus. This is not a trap. This is a tip, right? When it comes to your goals, you want to create an identity around your resolution. So what do I mean? So when you, I'll give an example. There's actually a video I watched recently that actually speaks about this. I'll link it up. When you want to say, and this is the exact example they gave in that video, when you want to quit smoking, right? And somebody offers you a cigarette, instead of saying, I'm trying to quit, or instead of saying I'm trying to quit, you say, no, I don't smoke. And it's like, yeah, there will be some people who will hold you to your past identity or whatever. But the thing is, when you create an identity around your goal, you're creating something to work towards. You remember when I mentioned that the thing is, when you are striving for, say, a certain goal, you're actually starting from a point when it's specifically when it's extrinsically motivated. You're starting from a point where you're putting yourself down. With creating another identity, a new identity that you want to live up to, you're working towards something, right? And so when you are a person who, as opposed to a person who is trying to quit smoking, because a person who's trying to quit smoking is a smoker. As opposed to that, no, I don't smoke. And then let's say you do smoke, right? People, maybe even yourself, will make you feel guilty, come back to you about it and be like, oh yeah, hey, you don't smoke, hey. It's like, yeah, I don't smoke. And even if you do, right? Yeah, you fell off the wagon, it's fine, but that's not your identity. You don't smoke, I don't smoke. Or I'm a fitness enthusiast. That's your identity. I love working out, formulating, and obviously it's not necessarily your truth at the time, but it's something you're working towards. And so you will find that even you start asking yourself, would a fitness enthusiast do X or do Y? You get a menu in front of you, and it's like, yeah, you're looking at these things and you're like, yeah, but would a fitness enthusiast want to eat this or that? And by fitness enthusiast, you're not speaking about some hypothetical person. You mean you're speaking about you. Like, as Mulema, the fitness enthusiast, do I really want to eat this? And you even start to form the behaviors and habits that are true to that identity, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make that progress. And so by deciding to, or by forming this identity around this goal that you've set for yourself, this New Year's resolution, you're gonna start forming habits that are in line with that identity. And it's like, even when you do get it wrong once or twice, hold on to that identity, because that's the identity you're trying to work towards, until it'll be at a point where you've gone 6 months without having done a certain thing or having done certain things. 6 months you've consistently been, that's what we're working towards. And yes, it's going to be really challenging in the beginning, but at some point we're going to get there. So, bonus tip, I repeat, create an identity around your New Year's resolution. I wish you all a wonderful, incredible, amazing 2023. I hope it is way better than 2022 was. Whether or not 2022 is great for you, I hope 2023 will be way better. And I will catch you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what I shared, if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing and comment your thoughts. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a blessed day, evening, or morning. Thank you.